the importance of daylighting in interior spaces, like in this case an office. The way I selected participants was basically went through my classes through the Blackboard role. In each of the classes I selected half that received a survey and job description with this image, and half that just received it with this image. So they were then sent to an online survey on Google Sites, and they each had the exact same job description, job offer type hypothetical paragraph. And then the only thing that was different was this image. And these images are actually the exact same room, just with a different wall on the backside. There were 38 students that took the surveys. The mean age was a little bit old. It was about 22, so it wasn't exactly the undergraduate mean. Most of my classes are higher level, so most of the people in those classes were older. The hypothesis was that people would say that they would rather work in and be more productive in this office than in this office. And I also hypothesized that older students would have a stronger opinion, basically. So the hypothesis was that older students would be less likely to want to work in this office than younger students. After running a two-way ANOVA with those two groups, there was no main effective age whatsoever. It was pretty much a continuous flat line across all age groups. But there was a very strong relationship between the image shown and their satisfaction scores. The satisfaction scores were basically calculated as the percent out of the total questions that they could have given it the highest score. So if the questions all range from 1 to 10. So if you answered 5 questions, or if you answered all questions with 5s, you would have had 50, basically. That's how it worked. The idea is that with this kind of study, a lot of lighting studies have really focused on the visual system and the glare and issues that kind of affect the physical system of sight. And there's actually kind of recently been a shift from that type of research into the perception of these spaces, how people actually either view these spaces because of aesthetic reasons and if they like them more that way, or also based on their circadian rhythm, because sunlight actually has the perfect wavelength and intensity to activate our circadian rhythm to start to keep us awake, basically. It suppresses melatonin and keeps us, so we're able to stay awake. So if designers and owners understand that employees want to work in an office with daylighting, then it'll be easier for people to work, and people will benefit as well as businesses will benefit from it. So. Question? Yeah.
I have a question. What do you mean, like, define what you mean by older students, because you didn't define like an age range that you use.
I just was looking at the relationship. As you get older, the satisfaction score would be more severe in each condition, basically. So there wasn't like a range. It was more of just a correlation from, the idea was like someone who was 18 wouldn't be as opinionated about it as someone who was 35.
You're looking for an interaction, right?
Right.
No, he's looking for just
well, this is just a correlation, right?
Okay. Just for that one variable. I think what Tanisha was asking, because it reminds me of her study, she did age, and Tanisha treated age as a categorical variable.
With 2 separate groups,
Two
right?
separate
And I
groups.
treated it as a continuous variable.
And use their actual ages. And by using their actual ages, it's actually a more sensitive way to estimate something. Okay, you don't have to lose it. So the difference between somebody you cut off at 22, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the difference between somebody that's 21 and 22 is very small. But when you did it, you split them into two groups and said somebody who's 21, they're the same as somebody that's 18. And somebody that's 22, they're the same as somebody that's 33. You put them in groups. Whereas his, everybody gets to have their own weight, basically, for what they are. More representative.
Yeah.
Did you find those pictures, or did you have to make them?
I
yourself?
made those pictures.
Did you do that?
There's
That's really
a
cool.
rendering program. It's an architectural program where you basically build it up, and it produces images that are pretty photorealistic. Yeah, so that was the only way I could think to manipulate just that wall and not change the viewpoint's the exact same, the perspective's identical. It's just that.
Sort of looks like a jail cell.
Other questions?
Yeah, it's pretty awful.
So you talked about, different perceptions of productivity and things like that. What does the literature actually say about lighting and productivity?
It basically follows what I found is that it's very helpful. There are levels at which if you have too much daylight coming in, it can actually be detrimental. Which is something that I would like to do again, because this one I feel like may be verging on that, where you're having too much light. Standing here, it doesn't matter, but if you were at the computer screen, that glare, sitting there may be worse. So if I were to do it again, I would have a third manipulation where it would be basically this with a couple of just regular casement windows.
Bonus points. What's the major study in psychology that deals with lighting that we've all probably read in intro psychology?
Well, Hawthorne effect talks about it, but his real effect was that people being observed, what he ended up finding was that people behaved differently when they were observed, like when they knew they were observed. So that was kind of it, but he set out
to look at lighting. He originally was investigating lighting, and then found methodological implications that dealt with people.
Which is the tricky part about it, because it's hard to observe the people in an office without them knowing that they're being observed, or with their consent.
Yeah.
So
Good old applied research. Okay.
Yeah.